We gotta spread that truth, you know.
My
Yeah, okay.
goodness.
All right, Fox News. We are not Fox News. All right, you guys, we're live. We'll give it a couple minutes before we get started, let people get in. Oh man,
Oh,
it
shoot.
has been a long week already.
It is, man.
It has been
Man, oh man.
rough. It really has. We'll give everybody a couple minutes to get on.
Yes, sir.
Those
Um,
of you that are coming on, thank you so much. We appreciate it. If you do us a favor, like, share, invite somebody in. We'll get started here in just a second. Again, Dex, it's good for you to be back with us.
peace, y'all. What's happening?
Danny will probably not be with us this evening still. He's still on the road to recovery. Recovery's
Yeah.
going well, but he won't be with us tonight, probably more likely than not. Um, Ezra should be on a little later. He should be on before we finish up tonight. Um, they've got the primary on June 22nd on Tuesday. Early voting's going on now. I believe it goes through the 20th. I believe early voting goes through. And, for his particular ward, he is in a primary, Democratic primary. So
Yeah.
definitely want to encourage those of you that can get out and vote and show your support for him. Um, in reference to that, again, thank you guys for joining us. If you can like, share, invite somebody in, engage with us. We appreciate it. We'll try to keep up with the comments. I don't know what it has been the last little bit. The last couple weeks we've been doing this the comments don't seem to be populating for me. So I'm missing a lot until after the show. So I want to apologize about that. I promise we're not ignoring.
No, that's
Um,
Facebook. Same thing for me. I gotta keep refreshing it, and I just can't do that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we just get caught up, but we're definitely not ignoring any of the comments or any of the participation at all. So we definitely apologize there. But Vernon, sir, how are you? I just got off the phone with my son's recruiter, man. I'm cheesing. He was talking my son up, man, talking about how he wish he had more like my son come out and put all that heart in and don't complain and, you know, put that work in. Always trying to get better. Made me feel good. I don't know if he was just trying to run game on a dad or not, but I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. That's for sure. But so we'll go ahead and get started. Like I said, Ezra probably will be on a little later in the call, a little later in the show, and Danny probably will not be joining us. Like I said before, hopefully next week or the week after he'll be back and able to join us and bring in that. His perspective to different things. But I wanted, when I was talking to everybody, I talked to everybody at the end of last week and over the weekend. For tonight's episode of House Call, we really wanted to focus on Juneteenth and with that coming up this Saturday. And one of the things that I think is important, I think every year I hear more and more about people that don't know really about Juneteenth. And to me, it's kind of funny that people are still ignorant to the fact, especially after the last couple of years, to be perfectly honest. But unfortunately, it's something that's happening and taking place now. One thing that I'd want to do is I want to, if I can find it here, I'm hoping I can find it. Um, is I want to read what I believe it was UNF had put out, University of North Florida put out in reference to Juneteenth, and I'm going to read that here in a moment. But I want to say something before we get started. With Juneteenth kind of gaining some popularity, if we can say it that way. Vernon, you can hop on us right now. Right now, you can hop on with us. You down? Talk about no invite. You want to hop on here? Put me on the spot. I'll put you on the spot. About to send you this right now. Play with me. The wrong one. You about to catch it now.
Something else.
We're all just spectators, Vernon. We're all just spectators. Nah, he doesn't want to talk. This is
Yeah.
Dak's week anyway.
But
Oh,
you know how them old Marines are. So
Yeah, be careful. 50, 60 years, your son's about to be an old Marine.
Hey, I already told Dominic as soon as he get that Eagle Globe and Anchor, the conversations he and I have are going to change. But no, I with Juneteenth, for a lack of better words, gaining a little more popularity. It's definitely much more in the public eye. Obviously, the Senate and the House, and it was just signed into a federal holiday, and recognized as a federal holiday, which I think is outstanding. There we go.
all right.
Had to call your bluff,
Oh,
sir.
hey. Welcome.
Right on.
Appreciate you joining.
How's it going, gentlemen? How you doing, Dak, Steven?
How you doing, sir?
Looks like you got all cleaned up for us. That's good. Thank you.
No, I was actually in the living room watching a movie, and I wanted to chime in and just watch.
Nice.
Now I got called out, so I got to make my presence known.
We'll get you a box of crayons. We will. We'll get you that box of
There you
crayons.
go. There you go.
But no, with the gain of popularity, there's your big box stores, your Walmarts, your J.C. Penney's, your Targets, your those types of stores. They're gonna start carrying products, obviously, and I don't have anything against those stores, but honestly, my feeling, my thought, my perspective, my suggestion would, if you're gonna buy products in reference to Juneteenth, buy them from a Black-owned business. And if you can buy them local, buy them local. I know Vibe, a local nonprofit here that does, great things for minorities here and has a lot of big plans. They have hoodies and T-shirts. And I bought a hoodie from them. They're comfortable. I tried to get a T-shirt, but I'm too big right now. My son's trying to fix that, but we'll see. Buying from them. I mean, we have a lot of Black-owned businesses that support the podcast and house call. We have Living Beauty Florals. There is Queen BZ Cosmetics. There is the Tea Cafe that does various T-shirts and print and that type of thing. Epic Images. I mean, all these different things, and even locally different vendors. So my suggestion would be to go to those vendors. Go to those individuals instead of these big companies that, half the time when you walk in them, they don't even have anybody behind a register. They make you the cashier. And I mean, I don't know. I didn't get any training, so I don't know what happens at that register that I have to scan my own stuff. I mean, I'm not sure. But I have to fight with it sometimes, that's just my suggestion. But I want to go ahead, before we go further, I want to take a minute and I want to read what UNF had put out in reference to Juneteenth. And they said, Juneteenth, also known as Emancipation Day, is a special celebration that commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. The observance promotes the ideals of liberation, justice, and freedom for all people living in the United States. Contrary to popular belief, President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, issued on January 1st, 1863, did not mark the official end to the practice of slavery. Many African descendants remained enslaved more than 2 years after the proclamation was made. Despite President Lincoln's Declaration of Freedom for enslaved persons, the Union had to enforce emancipation in Confederate states. In Texas, approximately 250,000 people were still being held in slavery until June 19, 1865, when Union troops led by Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston to announce that the war had ended and that all of the enslaved were now free. Although slavery would not legally end in all states until the December 1865 ratification of the 13th Amendment, June 19 was the day when the last enslaved people in America were free. That's what I felt it was important with Juneteenth coming up this weekend, that I felt it was important to acknowledge it, to recognize it, to talk about it. I feel that, you know, I'm gonna say it. I think it's fantastic that it was made a federal holiday, but at the same time, making it a federal holiday, but states making it illegal to essentially teach about it, there not being proper reform and laws addressing racism and injustices and police brutality it's a form of pandering in my opinion. You know, it's like, I get it, I appreciate it, I think it's awesome, I do, like, don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but at the same time, you sign an anti-Asian hate bill, but you have a whole other group of people that's still waiting for some real action. And so I have mixed emotions about it personally, personally, but I think it's a step, you know, and I think it's an important step that was taken. But I would also like to point out that there were already several companies and several organizations that had already made the decision to recognize it as a formal holiday, which I think was outstanding. So I don't know, gentlemen, what do y'all think?
You remember when we first started this show, it was probably sometime around now, right? And we had an episode, we talked about June 19th, Juneteenth. And I had said then that that was the first time I ever heard about it, honestly, in my whole life. And I think a lot of people can say that same thing, well, especially white people. But now, I think after, well, just over a year of it being talked about a lot because of the tragedies happening in the country, I think it's becoming more commonplace to people actually discussing it and talking about the history, the actual history that had taken place, as opposed to whatever was taught in school, where Juneteenth wasn't even mentioned, at least in my classes. And so with it becoming a national holiday, and not just being called Juneteenth, but it's Juneteenth National Independence Day, where now everyone in the country is now independent, not just a segment of the population is independent. I think it's important that it was called that, with our government and with the holiday. And it's important that that took place, because now I heard about it last year and have been learning about it and talking about it for a year. It's going to continue. People that maybe didn't even hear about it last year are now going to be hearing about it, and more people are going to be learning the actual truth of history. And so I think that's one of the most important things that can come from it being recognized nationally. So that's my take so far.
I'm gotta say, man, I have mixed feelings. I have mixed feelings about Juneteenth. Ever since I read on a document. First I read it on a post. It was a Facebook post saying that that European Americans, the slave owners, were getting reparations after Juneteenth happened for their loss. So, call me radical, but at the same time, we got to look at how Juneteenth is celebrated. Is it celebrating just the the Negro's freedom, or is it celebrating the so and so quote unquote equality, like the Negro was free and we get some money for his freedom? It's backwards to me. I believe I think it's greedy. I believe it's arrogant. And I think the United States owes the generations of the natives and the African people, they owe them or us reparations. There's no other way to put it. There's no other way to put it. This land was been sacred for years, thousands of years. And then all of a sudden, it's all taken away. And they get paid for it. I'm sorry, brothers.
Dax's hot take.
I mean,
I like it.
I'm not disagreeing with him. I mean, you look at oh, where was it? I don't want to speak out of turn, so I'm trying to was it Wilmington, North Carolina? Wilmington, North
Mhm.
Carolina was an entire it was a black community, and it essentially was, you know, the city was independently black owned. They had their own banks, newspapers, government, and on, you know, November 10th in 1898, white insurgents overthrew the elected government and forced the black leaders out. They massacred families, burned properties, and, you know, essentially, you know, snatched up the land, you know, and we as a country want to pretend stuff like that never happened.
My God.
And, you know, I was just having this conversation with my son the other night. Is like, in order to grow, you have to acknowledge the negative parts of your person and of your past. And if you have to do that as a person, you sure have to do that as a nation. Like,
Man.
you have to. You can't pretend a part of you doesn't exist if you truly
Yes.
want to progress in a positive way. You
Yes,
have
sir.
to acknowledge every aspect of you. You know, good, bad, or indifferent, you've got to acknowledge it. You have to address it. And in order to heal from something, you've got to acknowledge it's there. Like, you know, even from like a preacher's perspective in the church, right? Yeah, I believe in prayer. Yeah, I believe God's going to heal you. But at the same time, I'm not going to look at you and say, don't go to the doctor and stop taking your medicine. I'm not going to do that, because I believe God put doctors here for a reason.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so you have to acknowledge these things, and you have to acknowledge what's there. And I do believe it's owed. You know, I mean, you can't say, hey, run this race, and, you know, hey, we're gonna let you run this race, but wait a minute, you got to wait until you're 3 laps behind to start.
Right.
And that's essentially what we did as a country.
Yep. And you're right, because I mean, there is so much there. I mean, I just came from a trip, just from Dallas, because I didn't make the funeral. I just told you guys, for my aunt. Rest in peace on Jackie. She there was, man, there are so many people stuck with flights on cancellations. You could tell how much. I just looked at how much money just walking around here, and just in the airport alone. That's just things that I do. Like when I'm just out there, just thinking, like, you know what I'm saying. I know I got a flight canceled. I'm just gonna walk around, just see what's going on, and I just look there, and it's so many people, man. There's so much money to be made, and at the same time, there's so much money getting printed with no, I mean, just out of control, because we're so much in debt in the United States. Is ridiculous.
Can I let me chime in real quick. I wanna say with what you're saying, JR, that you have to acknowledge first. Isn't proclaiming this day a national holiday some form of acknowledgement? Number one. I'm not diminishing anything else that the two of you said,
Of course.
but things don't happen for an entire nation in a moment. And so anyway, I have no place to celebrate anything, but I would like to celebrate the fact that we are acknowledging it as a nation. We are becoming aware. Those of us who were not aware are becoming more aware, and we can progress even further to the initiative of making things right. And perhaps this is a starting place. It's not the end all be all. And so I'd like to go from a place, hopefully, I don't want to step out of place, but I'd like for people to not be in a place of bitterness, but in a place of, what's it called? Hopeful hesitance, maybe something like that. Because I know we have, as a
Like
nation,
a
have
hopeful
failed.
anticipation.
Say that again.
Like a hopeful anticipation.
Yes, but more cautious than that, because we as a nation have failed certain people before, especially Black people. And so if we can progress forward to this point, and yes, some people may think it's just a label to kind of try to shut people up, creating a national holiday. I get that. But some people take it seriously. Some people who are new to the concept are taking it seriously and growing. And so I don't want to have people sort of be discouraged from learning more or trying to act
I-
better
So
because
I think that,
there are hundreds of years of bad decisions we've made, but I do want to move forward in the right way for people
I
who have been
think
tread on.
I think acknowledging that, yeah, it's a step forward. Yeah, of course. But I think pretending that it's some giant leap, I think that that would be a foolish approach to it,
Well, sure.
in my opinion. And the reason I say that is because for so many years, and we've talked about this on previous shows, and Ezra has brought this up, and we've all kind of talked about it. That as a country, we provide a pacifier, we provide a band-aid, we provide we're going to appease you for a little bit, but we're really not going to change anything, and that's what we keep doing. And so to say, well, I don't want us to get bitter, let's stay positive, to me is a Mickey Mouse approach to it, to be very honest.
Yeah.
I don't want to take it as, let's blow it off as there's nothing positive to it, because I think there is. I do think there is some positive to it, but I think that it is very naive to think that it's some monumental change when an anti-Asian hate bill gets signed with no protests, with no crazy demonstrations, no forceful voices, and the issue of race, like in Texas, teachers have been told they can't even teach that an individual might be discriminated against because of the color of their skin.
This is true.
Yes, those
So
are ridiculous. We talked about that a few weeks back.
Yeah,
actually.
but that's kind of what I'm saying. And so, you and I, and people that look like us, and whether ally or otherwise, yeah, you can look at it as an opportunity to learn and grow. But
Yeah.
I'm sure that individuals that have lived this are, I would think, because I would be sick of getting the pacifier and not getting something substantial. And I know I can't speak for people. And before we let Vernon talk, I just want to, for those of you that don't know Vernon, he is the author of, and can I get it on here? I can't. Where is it? I gotta take my thing down. Okay, there it is. A change is coming, right? Change is gonna come. I'm sorry. But it's I started reading this here not too long ago, and I'm loving it so far. But I definitely suggest it. Vernon, where can I get it?
You can, if you're local, you can buy it from me. If you're not local, you can buy it anywhere online. Any of the bookstores online have them available. Amazon has them, and iUniverse, which I don't recommend, is the publisher. I would not recommend buying them from there because they have them on their full price. When I made the book, it was set up where the price that is determined by the publisher, and they determine the price according to the pages. So because I was wordy in my writing, I ended up with an encyclopedia. So I had to cut the book back, actually, roughly 50, 75 pages, I think it was. So it's chopped up, but it is what it is. But yeah, the book, I haven't heard anything bad about it. I've gotten good vibes from it, and I'm proud of it.
Good.
But listening to you guys talk, Juneteenth, it's always been a part of my life. Learned about it as a youth. Never really celebrated. I don't want to sound like a militant, but growing up, I was always more of a Malcolm X, not a Martin Luther King. I struggle with the turn the other cheek thing. So I've never been that type of person. Coming through the military and then coming here, I've seen a lot of issues here in this little small town, just like the majority of people that have grown up here, African American or otherwise. I've become complacent to the things that have happened here or things that do happen. And you know, now that I'm part of this area, you know, it's time to step up, step out, make a change, you know, be a little more vocal. It's disheartening to hear about some people that haven't heard of Juneteenth. It's also disheartening to hear, you know, from what I hear, some teachers in the area that are saying we're not going to teach that in our class because of X, Y, and Z, or why did this holiday come about, or I'd rather this holiday be on Monday so that I can do blah, blah, blah over the weekend. You know, some of those things, you know, to be nice, it's disheartening to hear, you know, it's sad to hear, and you know, it pisses you off when you hear it. So, you know, it's something where we need to get this in our schools. We need to start with our youth. We need to get this to a point where African American history is common history. You know, we played a vital role in building this country. We did not get citizenship until after the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was written, and we still didn't have citizenship. We were still classified as what, 2/3, you know. So it's one of the things where we've had to fight and claw for generations. We are generations behind, and we're still fighting and clawing. You know, a lot of people don't believe it, you know, in these areas. And I say a lot of people, I try to use that term loosely because I hate saying a lot of people, because then it says, you know, how many people, but there are quite a few people that believe that we are treated fairly, that we are treated equally, that we have an upper hand, and that is not the case. I can tell you first and foremost, just from me walking around, when people see me and my posture, people are intimidated. But I'm just a happy-go-lucky guy. I joke and laugh, you know, with the rest of them, you know. So it's one of the things where you're prejudged, you know, the misconception is there. So things like this celebration, you know, some people may be intimidated by it. I think Juneteenth is a wonderful thing. I think it's an opportunity for people to learn about the culture, learn about the people. Us as African Americans, we can celebrate, we can liberate, and enjoy, you know, our arts and our crafts and all of those things that go with our culture, you know, and enjoy it just like we do the Italian festival or the Polish festival or the St. Patrick's Day, you know, things of that nature. Cinco de Mayo, you know, we deserve, you know, we've done a lot for this country. We deserve to have a day finally celebrated in honor of our culture. So yeah, I appreciate that. And by the way, I appreciate you guys having me on here. It was impromptu. I was not intending on coming on here. I just wanted to sit back and just listen. So I appreciate it.
I loved your
Appreciate
input.
you having on.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Sir.
I gotta talk to my son about where he puts his suitcase, and I stubbed my toe. Think I might have broke it.
Mm-mm.
But no, I think it's, you know, like Steve was saying. I mean, I would love to take a, you know, solely or strictly positive approach on it, but you know, it's just, to me, it's unfortunate how much I've seen the band-aid or the pandering or the gaslighting or the, you know, it's like you make Juneteenth a national holiday, but you are, you know, in multiple states passing laws that are making it difficult for people of color to vote. You're, you know, restricting what can be taught and you know, dictating how history is taught because you don't want to acknowledge the reality of what takes place and has taken place in the country. And I mean, no, it's not comfortable. It's not anything to be proud of, but you know, it's like Independence Day, right? You know, I saw somebody making a comment. You know, they're from England, and they made the comment that they're not familiar with what celebrating an Independence Day would be, because they are the reason for multiple Independence Days.
Oh my God.
You know, and you know, it's unfortunate that we as a country have been, that we are responsible for Juneteenth being a necessity. You know, that's an unfortunate part of our past, but it's an important part of our past to acknowledge. And you know, to hear educators have an issue with it, to hear people that have you know, that are pillars in the community have issue with it, to hear legislators have issue with it. Like, you know, one Republican legislator, and I forget his name. I want to say he was from Texas, but that may not be the case. So I'll retract on that. But he made the statement, you know, that his feelings about making Juneteenth a federal holiday, well, oh, it's just going to cost taxpayers $600 million or, you know, whatever. Okay, well, why does January 1st have to be a federal holiday? National Hangover Day doesn't need to be a federal holiday. I would much rather, you know, if that's what you're worried about, the money, then shift the money from January 1st to Juneteenth. If that, like, to me, there's a higher priority there than National Hangover Day. Like, that's just how I feel.
You know, I want to jump in because, you know, it's like I said, I don't want to throw my militant vibes out, but while we're on this topic of, you know, losing money, you know, we should be more concerned with, you know, I'm not for cancel culture, but I'm down for canceling out this Christopher Columbus Day. So, because that's a holiday that I feel like, you know, we're celebrating the wrong thing. I've never really cared for celebrating, even when I was a little kid, and I found out what this guy did. So, I mean, I don't understand it. I don't appreciate it. I don't know why he got a day and we're just getting ours in, you know, this year in 2021, but it is what it is. We finally got it, but, you know, let's get rid of Christopher Columbus Day. I'm game.
I mean, we got to think like half people
with that. I mean, it's like Ty says they got to protect the white nationalist dream. I mean, the American, and I mean, you know, as negative as that statement sounds, it's not false. I you know, sorry, but it's not. You know, what gets perpetrated a lot of times as a dream. Ariel says I'm with it. You know, it's what gets perpetrated a lot of times is, oh, the American dream. Well, the American dream is the American dream if you fit the mold. The American dream is the American dream if you fit the plan, if you fit the agenda. You know, it's not designed, like even our political system, like getting involved in that for myself, you know, being somebody new coming in and I'm not in either one of the cliques, you know, it's not designed for a new guy to show up to the table. It's designed for the clique to maintain control. Regardless of which wing on the bird it is, it's designed for those wings to maintain control. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but until we as a people realize that and start making these changes and start pushing for these things, it's not going to change. You know, we're going to keep in this cycle. And that's why I say, Steve, it's difficult to take that, hey, let's look at it from a positive perspective, because honestly, from our country's perspective, I mean, we have entire institutions that have manipulated history based on what fits their agenda. We talked about that even within the church. You know, and the whole, well, America was intended to be a Christian nation. No, it wasn't. You know, it was founded with Christian principles behind it, but I have a hard time believing, as you pen the words of the Constitution, talking about, you know, all men are created equal.
Yeah.
While you own one, I have a hard time believing that's a Christian nation. I struggle with that. You know, so clearly you might believe all men are created equal. That might be a true statement to you, but you didn't believe that that individual you owned was a man. There's a huge problem there. You know, and our history, just unfortunately, we just kind of stay in this cycle and stay in this cycle. And, you know, I saw something earlier that was like, if your argument with police brutality is still, well, cops kill white people too, you know, it's like, really? You just justified the fact that they're unfit for their job. Like, that doesn't really work for you. It's just this whole, and that's why I say, I'm like, I think it's great that it's a federal holiday, but at the same time, there's a level of gaslighting there for me, because there's no real legislation that's making change for minorities and people of color that are continuing to deal with the oppression and continuing to deal with the challenges that they're faced. And so at some point, this country has got to stop gaslighting, and it's got to provide something substantial to the group of people that were instrumental in growing, developing, and making this country who and what it is today, and are still continuing that. We have to do that as a country at some point. That's just how I feel.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking. I mean, I don't know. What about the rest of you guys? I just.
I don't want to
Can't
put
put
any
people
more
in
Mickey
bed.
Mouse opinions out there, so I won't say anything else.
I mean,
You said
I'm gonna
what?
tell
Steve?
you.
I said I don't want to put any more Mickey Mouse opinions out there, so I'll keep
I didn't
quiet for the rest of the show.
listen. I'm not. Your opinion's your opinion. That's how I feel about it. You know,
I
I
know.
just feel if that's the only approach, that it's a very naive approach. It wasn't meant to offend you, you know, by any stretch.
I'm
But
not.
I
I'm
just
not offended.
feel. What's that?
I'm not offended.
Okay.
We're just talking.
But I just that's just this lovey-dovey, hey, can we all get along? No, not until we can actually do something substantial. No. Like
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like I'm not okay.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. And I'm the kind of person, like when I was talking to Nick last night and we were talking about the concert and bringing something different into the area, like when you truly make a stand for what's right, especially in this topic, you lose people. You lose people that are behind you. You lose people that you think are going to support you. You know, relationships have been severed, whether friend, family, associate, business, you know, whatever, because of stances that people have taken. And I'm sorry, I don't see anything substantial with this yet. Substantial change. You know, do I think, like you said, can it be used as a starting ground? Yeah, I do. And I think for like people like you and I, yeah, we can definitely take it from more of a positive perspective. But I wonder about the communities that have been affected differently than us, how easily they can take it from a positive perspective. And that's what I was meaning by that. You know, you know, whether we agree or disagree, I still want the opinion. I still want to hear what the perspective is.
Right. So my thought is, with me saying hopeful aspirations or hopeful hesitance, is kind of at least personal. Okay, I'll say all of what I'm saying is personal because a lot of realization in the past year and a half has taken place in my life concerning this whole topic. Okay, and so when we lead up to the trial for the murder of George Floyd and the correct outcome takes place, that lifts my spirits. He's going to prison for murder, 3 counts of it. That wasn't expected by a lot of people. Some people thought the system was going to screw us again or screw them again. It didn't. Now we have a national holiday celebrating Juneteenth, and it's not like everything is solved and all things are well. But in the past year, I've seen a lot of things changing and taking place that, yes, they're all small things. And maybe you think they're manipulations and gaslighting. And I hope they are not. But for me, I am going to remain hopeful and pray that these little things keep happening that are positive and that are the correct outcomes for people who have been subjugated in this world and in this country. And that keeps taking place more and more over time until some, I don't know. I just hope it just keeps happening because truth and justice for all is the outcome I want. And I hope everyone wants. And little by little, it is becoming more prone to justice and liberty. And so that's kind of what I was saying. At least from my perspective in the past year and a half, I have noticed more positivity taking place. So.
And I can respect that. I can. I guess for me, being too hopeful, I think, is what has caused us as a country to continue the cycle. We get too hopeful, and so we relax. Your greatest attack comes on the heels of your greatest victory because you let your guard down, you relax, you breathe. And unfortunately, this whole process, for me anyway, and like I said, I definitely respect what you're saying, and I'm not saying that that's a bad approach, or that you're wrong in any aspect of that. This thing is a road trip. It's not a trip to the corner store. And just because we stop to fill up the tank doesn't mean the trip's over. And I think a lot of people, we've stopped to fill up the tank, and a lot of people got out thinking that we're where we're at. Like the story I've told with when Dax and I went out, and I got a little inebriated one night, and he pulled up to the gate, and I threw the door open and fell out the car because I thought we were at the barracks. And
Yeah.
I kind of think that's what I mean. Like, if people are like, oh yeah, we made it, we did it, we like that, to me is that Mickey Mouse approach, because no, we haven't made it yet. Like, yeah, we made a pit stop, but this thing, we're still going. We need to get back in the car and keep driving.
Right. I specifically chose the words hopeful hesitance because of that fact. There's no celebration of completion here that I'm talking about. There's no completion of reparations or equality that's taken place. But I'm hopeful that this justice continues, but hesitant because of the history of what has taken place. So
Understood.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in on that. Steven's got a very good point, especially with the gaslighting. When you think back to African American history, from the moment we came to this country, from the moment that Africans came to this country, they were put in positions where they were given hope, and they used religion and small gatherings as moments of encouragement, only to have their kids ripped away, or to have their wives beaten, or to have their kids stripped away and sold and sent somewhere else. You fast forward it, we go and fight in the Revolutionary War with hopes of gaining respect and trust from our white counterparts, only to come back and then turn around and have to continue fighting, and learn that rules are put in place to still keep us pushed down to where we cannot progress. We can't own anything. Only the select few that are fortunate enough to make it. And then they're used as a pawn, and they say, see, he was able to do it, why can't you? That's a common thing that's thrown out there. Fast forward a little bit more, and you get a Black representative for our culture in Martin Luther King, and then he's gunned down. You get a representative like Malcolm X, and he's gunned down. You fast forward, and then you get to Rodney King, where he gets beaten on videotape, and turn around and these guys get let loose, the police officers. And then when the people riot and voice themselves, then the focus is now shifted away from them and then back on, well, why do they have to do this? Why do they have to do that? So we're in essence, what I'm saying is we're kind of used to getting that euphoria of a high, only to have it snatched away and taken. I look at when we look at our last president, I think as a country, I think we were making amends, and then the last president comes in, and then he leaves, and now we have separation and division, and at a magnitude that we haven't seen since the early or mid to late 1900s. So when it comes to this thing here, yeah, I think the gaslighting is real. It's where we can say, yeah, we're excited about this, but until real changes are made, until it's consistent, I'm going to say, when it's consistent, that's when I'll get excited. When that hearing came from George Floyd, and I heard that the guy got convicted, I was happy, but at the same time, I wasn't jubilated and throwing a party. And that was just step one. That was just step one. We have a long way to go. I mean, a long way to go before we're considered actually equal in this country. I firmly believe that.
Dax, anything?
Um,
Down there in Texas.
man,
the reason for the season, they say, right?
the reason for what?
The reason for the season was Texas
The reason for, well,
ignoring emancipation. That's the reason for the holiday.
Yeah. Well, they pretty much they did ignore it. But the thing is that they ignore a lot of stuff like on down the line. It's like it's a constant struggle. It's just like we said, it's constant gaslighting. There's no other way to put it. It's just like, I mean, I really can't add anything because he nailed it.
You know, I wish, you know, I really sometimes I almost wish that I was ignorant to the fact.
Hmm.
Because the more knowledge you have about things, and the more you can see. But I say that I say that kind of with a little bit of sarcasm, because people still use that as an excuse. You know, that, oh well, you know, I didn't know, or do you think it's really like that, or oh, that doesn't really happen, you know. And it's at this point, if you can't see it, it's not that you can't see it, it's that you're ignoring it,
Yep.
or that you're just kind of seeing past it, because things are blatant. And it's like, oh, why are there so many issues with police officers now? It's not now, it's just that they're being recorded. You know, it's
That's
just
it.
we
Yeah.
have cell phones now. You know, and a lot of times these officers don't even know they're being recorded. And you see the expressions, or you hear the tones change when they find out they're being recorded.
Yeah.
You know, and they're more worried about whether or not somebody's recording them than just doing their job. You know, well, we have to make split-second decisions. No, not according to this recording. It wasn't a split-second decision. You want to take a you want to make a split-second decision? Let me take you to Baghdad.
Mm.
I'll show you a split-second decision. You know, and
Yeah.
when as a soldier in a war on enemy soil, I'm held to a higher level of accountability in treating that enemy soldier, that enemy combatant. I'm held to a higher standard to how I treat him than police officers in this country are held to how they treat their own civilians. And we have inundated and taught in our society somehow that just because you have a badge, or just because you wear a uniform, that makes you a hero. Let me go on record saying this. I've said it multiple times, but just because you wear a uniform and you serve in the military, or you have a badge, that does not in any way, shape, or form qualify you as a hero. It does not.
I concur.
Perfect example is the
Agreed.
douchebag in yeah, I said it, in Fort Jackson that hijacked the bus. You know, like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that was Army.
Yep.
You know, and
Walk off base.
you know, you just, and people fail to recognize this. Like,
Mhm.
that badge doesn't mean that you've got an extreme amount of character that's above everybody else. It should mean you're held to a higher standard. Some jobs just come with a higher level of accountability. You know, if my pharmacist gives me the wrong pills, he's going to be held accountable. He's not going to get sent home on paid administrative leave so you can figure out how to make it okay.
Yeah, and the ignoring of facts is, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. It is in large part due to many in the Christian community and the church equating God with America.
Mm.
And so whatever choices America makes must be ordained by God. And so America can do no wrong. And so they ignore historical facts that are evil, because there's no way God could have chosen for that to have taken place. And just you saying that America was never meant to be a Christian nation, it's facts. And I actually did learn that in school, that they were attempting to create a nation of religious freedom based on Christian principles, or deist principles, technically.
Mhm.
But regardless of that, I believe that we have an impact in church. We can have an impact on that mindset in our communities, in our churches, by talking about truth and separating America from God, and saying that, and stopping people when they say things like that equate God, America, and their choices to God. And so people always bring up the verse that God put that leader in place for a reason. And I believe that's entirely out of context and missing the point entirely. It's a philosophical fallacy to say that. But either way, I think it's a starting place for Christians, especially white Christians, in fundamental cities and areas in this country, to separate those ideas, because it is harmful and hurtful to truth and justice and really understanding history.
I think with Juneteenth, for me, one of the biggest realizations is, and especially for those that still like to throw the Confederate flag. Now, I had this conversation with my son recently. The Confederate flag to me is unbelievably offensive, and it's offensive to me on several levels. One level, as a combat vet, you're flying the flag of an enemy of the country that I served. At the end of the day, they chose to be an enemy of the United States of America. Now, I'm pretty sure. Now, I don't know. I'm not over there right now, but I don't think the Nazi flag is flying and celebrated, and our heritage over there in Germany. Now, I could be wrong, because I'm not over there, but we certainly don't respect it here. Like, even most individuals that throw the Confederate flag would be hesitant to fly the Nazi flag. Most, and
I can't believe it's not all. It's ridiculous.
But it is what it is, But at the end of the day, oh well, those are veterans in America. No. Those are veterans from the Confederacy, an enemy of the United States of America. Like, that's the reality behind it. But not only that, these are individuals. This was a flag that essentially represented individuals that were fighting for the rights to own other people. Like, how in any way, shape, or form is that okay? That's my heritage. Well, half of y'all didn't even grow up in the South that are flying it around here anyway. Right. You know what I'm talking about? That's my heritage, or I don't, the mentality I don't get. And then we get to Juneteenth, and the whole reason we have Juneteenth is because an entire state decided to ignore reality.
It's a fact.
To ignore reality. And we had to send troops down there to say, hey, enough's enough. And we're still doing the same thing today. We ignore reality because it doesn't fit our agenda. Police brutality doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in our community. Oh, okay. Why? Because it doesn't happen to you.
Mm.
Oppression doesn't happen. Why? Because it didn't happen to you. Well, everybody gets treated the same. They got the same opportunities. Why? Because you think you had the same opportunity. People don't just get pulled over for no reason. Why? Because you don't get pulled over for no reason. And that's the thing, because it doesn't happen to specific people, because it doesn't happen to them. They don't think it happens at all. And that's just simply not true. And I think with making Juneteenth a federal holiday, yeah, we're acknowledging some things. We're finally making an acknowledgement. I can respect that. But I want, personally, I would like to see some real substantial change. Something substantial, something that is really going to help and change the community, some level of accountability with these police departments. They fund these police departments, but they fund them without accountability.
Yeah.
You want to funnel so much money into them, funnel the same amount of money into accountability. Hold them accountable. I just
remove the unions and treat them like normal jobs, where if you suck, you get fired. How about that? How about that? Real simple. It's very simple.
Civilian review boards,
exactly,
in my opinion, are fantastic. They hold the community. They hold the community accountable. They hold the police departments accountable. They hold the city accountable. It's a starting point. Like, I don't think anybody's got all the answers. I don't. But I think something substantial has to come. You do?
All the Mickey Mouse answers, at least.
Oh my God. I'm never gonna live that one down.
Nah, you're good after today. Just after the
I just,
call, we'll be good.
honestly, I do. I feel that this, like, let's just like take a positive approach on stuff, and why can't we just get along and let's just talk it out? Like, to me, that's a very naive approach to things.
That's
I wish
hate
I
to
could
say it.
take it. I can't. I think, I think like Vernon said, I think I probably fall more to the Malcolm X side of things than I do the Dr. King side of things. But even Dr. King leaned more Malcolm X than people like to admit.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Like,
Yeah.
I know us white folk like to use all the feel good quotes from Dr.
Yeah.
I said it.
Oh my God.
But I mean, if you really, I'm just
You're right though. You're right.
I'm thankful for Juneteenth. I want to encourage people to educate themselves. I do. I think it's a huge opportunity. I do think it's a big step for the country. I think that, hey, look who's late to the party.
Ezra,
He must be a
Ezra.
recon.
closing remarks, Ezra?
Oh my God.
Hello.
Oh,
Good to
man.
see you, buddy.
Hello, running. Oh, I was replaced by Alderman Robinson.
Yep.
There you
better
go.
late than never, Ezra.
Yeah, he's been more engaging.
I bet you he has. I bet you he has.
Yeah, I don't do this thing a lot either.
Oh, listen to him. Listen to him.
Everybody's busy in their own way. Everyone's busy in their own way.
So what are your
Thanks,
thoughts
Steve.
on
got you,
Juneteenth, Ezra? Your thoughts on Juneteenth? Just in a nutshell.
On the
In
spot.
a nutshell,
In a nutshell.
I'm glad that it's finally a federal holiday. But it's a step in the right direction, just like everything else that's been going on. And we can't stop there. I just don't get how people don't understand why it's important that it is recognized as a federal holiday. And I think it's important to understand the meaning behind it. It was where like the freedom really took place. So to recognize it as, I'm really happy that it's finally being recognized as a federal holiday, for sure. And I'm glad it is, but we can't stop there. The fight doesn't stop at it just being recognized. We got to continue to get more things.
And I think that's probably all of our general consensus is that we're
Yeah.
We are thankful that it's being recognized as a federal holiday. Kind of confused and frustrated that some people have a problem with that. And understanding that there's got to be more that takes place than just a day off.
Yep.
Wait, you're getting a day off?
No, I'm not.
Me neither. I'm not getting a day off.
It's just important to know the history and actually
It is.
recognize it.
I think, to me, people being educated about the history and the reality of Juneteenth
Mhm.
is the most important aspect of it. Juneteenth itself.
I do like your point that you've been pointing out the last couple of days about buying locally, because it is going to be produced as everybody cares about.
Capitalism is it's a double-edged sword. It's a very ugly thing, unfortunately.
I will appreciate this.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely mentioned Vibe. I tried to get me one, but I'm too big. So
here we go.
Got
We
a
better
special
talk to
order
him
me a
about
shirt because I'm big. But my soon-to-be Marine over here is trying to fix that.
I was gonna say not for long. You eat those veggie wraps, you'll be good. Drink water and eat veggie wraps.
But so we'll go around. It's almost 8:30. We'll go around. Final thoughts. Dax, you want to kick us off?
Happy Juneteenth, everybody. Coming up soon. Until next week. It was good meeting you, Brother Vernon.
Good to meet you too.
And Ezra, hopefully we can catch you and have a good conversation next time. Except for
Next
closing
week.
thoughts.
Next week.
Next week. All right.
All right, good.
Can I pick the topic?
Can you?
And
pick
I'm
it
back.
up? I actually have one I want to bring up. I
Okay.
will actually, I'll throw it out now. Y'all tell me what's up. I don't know if you guys have seen a video's been going around. An individual was trying to talk to this female, trying to get a number. She said no. He got belligerent, ended up popping the trunk and pulling the trigger.
Whoa.
You know, but that's becoming more and more common. And our young women, you know, especially women of color, are dealing with this type of response from men on a regular basis, and that type of hostility on a regular basis. And
Wow.
kind of wanted to talk about that, since how we're all men, and talk about, you know, what's going on with us
Yeah.
or them men, because
Gee.
definitely not in that category.
That's probably not as fun of a topic as you wanted, huh, Ezra?
Probably not. What did you
Oh, it
want to talk
wasn't. I
about?
was.
Ezra?
I don't even know. I was just gonna pick something, but
Oh, okay.
you can't really match that. Like you
That would be a good talk. We'll talk about that.
But Steve?
Oh, before that talk, I had something I was going to say in closing, but I'll just end it with this. I really don't like the mass indoctrination of ignorance to the truth of our past.
Yeah.
And it causes and is causing, has caused, will cause continually divides in this country between families and friends and people of different races and different communities. And when something like this happens, where an acknowledgement, an attempt to hopefully clear some ignorance takes place, like acknowledging Juneteenth and making it a national holiday, I have hesitant hope that things like that remove ignorance and encourage justice and truth will continue happening. And so that's what I'm going to pray for. And as we always say on this show, my realm of influence, my neighbors, my friends, my family, my church, I will continue to attempt to fight ignorance with truth, in hopes that my children, my kid and his kids further and more can live in a world of justice, whether that involves America or not. But I pray for that, and I engage in that daily. At least I hope, and I try to engage in that daily. So I encourage everyone else to affect positively the people that you can affect around you. Not on Facebook, not on a call like this in front of thousands, like we're doing now. But the biggest impact you can have is with Sally down the road. Honestly, that's the biggest impact you can have. So that's what I
Start community first.
Mr. Robinson.
hmm You know, I just want to say, you know, I want to leave with something different. I like to challenge the people that watch this to, if you're not familiar, go out and visit some type of museum or something over this weekend, and learn about the culture itself. Learn about our arts, our music, our dance. The simple things. I don't have any anymore, but our hair texture is just so much different. It takes a different type of care than anyone else's. There's just so many things, so many aspects that you can learn if you actually, you know, pick up your phone and type into Google or type into Yahoo and research some things, or get out of the house and go visit some of these outstanding museums and art places out there. There's going to be festivities going on in other cities. Get out to Erie or Buffalo, Rochester this weekend, and go do something. There's a couple of things going around in Olean, but you know, I know I'm an alderman here, but we're still growing here. We're still learning here. Go somewhere where you can actually learn something. And hey, if you want to personal, you can email me. I'll give you a class. I don't have a problem with talking to anyone and educating them. I don't have a problem with that at all. Come to me with an open mind, though, because I'll tell you the truth. That's all I got to say. And thanks again, gentlemen, for having me. And I appreciate your time. Appreciate this topic, too.
Definitely. Well, thank you
Thanks
so
for
much
joining.
us. We appreciate it. I know we kind of put you on the spot, but you know, you threw out the whole no invite. So yeah. You called a bluff.
You
But
may have
no,
sold a book though to me. I might go buy your book. So it's
Right.
worth it.
Appreciate it.
but I'm enjoying it so far. I haven't finished it yet. My time has been non-existent as of late, but definitely digging into it. I'm enjoying it so far. But definitely appreciate you coming on and sharing your thoughts and your perspective as well. I do think you're the oldest one out the bunch on here, so share that wisdom with us.
I used to
But
be the youngest.
all us young bucks. Um, but no, I appreciate all you guys. And the topic of Juneteenth, I mean, like Steve said, last year was like the first time that he had encountered it and learned about it. And I remember having the conversation with, and I was even shocked, like my own parents were like, oh, we weren't familiar with us. How are you not familiar with it? Like, you're my parents, how are you not familiar with it? And but definitely encourage you to educate yourself. If you can get somewhere this weekend. If it's local, it's local. If you're able to go somewhere, go somewhere. I mean, most places are doing things all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you can kind of incorporate something local, maybe travel a little bit, catch something maybe even on TV or whatever if you're not able to travel or restricted. And like Mr. Robinson said, there's several avenues, and he's even willing to have a personal conversation with you. And I would personally suggest, when you have that opportunity to have more of a personal encounter, take advantage of it. Because it's going to be more of an honest, raw conversation tailored to that individual experience. And so I would encourage that. But again, I want to encourage to also, support those Black-owned businesses, support local businesses. You're purchasing the Juneteenth attire and stuff like that. Find those organizations. Again, like we mentioned before, Vibe, that nonprofit. Get involved with them. You may not be able to, participate in everything that they do, but there's ways to support, and get involved with them. I know last night, he gave the shout out. He's got the hoodies and the t-shirts and, those types of things for sale. And those help further what they're doing as an organization as well. So, definitely want to give a shout out to them. And then the other businesses that have been behind us as a show and a podcast, Queen BZ Cosmetics, the Tea Cafe, Living Beauty Florals, Black Silhouette and his music and those types of things. So definitely want to encourage you guys. Juneteenth, I mean, it's a big deal. It really is, and it should be treated as such, and we should be educated as such. So again, challenge you to get involved, to educate yourself, to learn something, experience something different, and approach it with an open mind. Just because it's different, just because, your grandfather, your grandmother, your aunts and uncles might have had a negative perspective for so many years because of sometimes just because of a lack of exposure. Allow yourself to experience the benefits. And because there's so many ways that the African-American culture have affected your day-to-day life that you would really be surprised if you really took the time to educate yourself. So I want to encourage you to do that. But thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, we appreciate it. Again, enjoy Juneteenth this weekend. For the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. Hopefully you get more than socks and have to barbecue your own meal.
Doubt it.
Happy Father's Day to all of y'all. And again, take the time to truly celebrate Juneteenth. And we will catch y'all next time on House Call, where we make every conversation count. Y'all have a good night.
Peace.